They never missed a payroll.
Yep, man.
Didn't that have a lot to do with the prayer meeting?
Had a bit to do with me mortgaging my house, too.
Yeah, Jay did a lot of interesting personal sacrifice. There was a stock thing that you did that you changed stuff on, and you dragged money in from the house. Yeah, it was. I was lucky enough to be sitting 5 feet away from Jay while he was doing, while we were doing stuff. Of course, the dog was there, but then after line draw, the dog was okay. But yeah, poor Jay on the phone. Well, okay, can I get a 0.25%? And it was, it was a tough time, Jay. Thanks.
No. Well, I wouldn't have normally done that for a company, except it was my company, and I knew the product was, I knew the product was solid concept, and we were so far ahead of everybody else at that time in terms of a really usable computer.
So then came Atari, and Atari said that they would make a deal to buy the company from us, and they they knew that we were real tight for cash, so they made a deal with us where they would advance us $500,000 to make our immediate payments. What we owed immediately. There was a payroll they do the next day that this whole thing came down, and then we would have 1 month to negotiate with them to come to a deal for them to buy the Amiga. And so Atari came in and they said, okay, we'll give you $1 a share for your Amiga stock. And we said, $1 a share? God, in our wildest dreams, we had thought $50 a share, $75 a share. We're going to be rich. It's going to be great. God. $1 a share was ridiculously low. So Dave Morse said, $1 a share is ridiculously low. And the Atari guy said, okay, how about 85 cents a share? So wait, at Harvard they told me you go up, I go down, and the truth was that Atari knew the condition that we were in, and Atari was not interested in buying us. Atari was interested, for reasons of its own, in buying just the machine. They didn't want to buy the group, they wanted to just get the technology. Now we're down to the last few days before the end of the end of the agreement, where we either have to come up with the bread for Atari, or they would get the company. And then the phone rang, and it was Commodore calling, and Commodore said, "Well, we can make you a much better deal than that, So they send out their plane, and Dave Morse hops in the plane, and he flies out to Westchester, Pennsylvania, or New York, or wherever it was, and what follows then are 3.5 days of intense negotiations where, they're hammering out one detail after another. What's going to happen? Dave's interested in the people. Oh, this and that and the other thing. And they go back and forth, and they're trying to get everything worked out so that, the deals are just right. And when you don't cut a deal like this in 3 days without working well into the night. And here it is, the last night, and these guys, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they're like, what are we going to do? And they're dancing, to keep themselves awake. Keep going here, and it's the last minute, and there's the jets out in the parking lot with its revved up against its brakes, and everyone's around the table, and they say to Morse, they say, $4 a share. That's our final offer. You're out of time. You can either accept it or not and go with Atari. And he says, I don't know. Let me check with my people. He goes, gives Jay a call. He says, $4. Jay says, well, it's not 50, but it's $4 is okay. If you think it's right, go with it. And he calls up, the other guy's a VP of marketing, the VP of sales. What do you think? Well, it's not what we had in mind, but it's better than zero. I'll go with it. And everyone said, okay. So he went back to the table and he sat down. He said, sorry, my people say $4 is not enough. I'm going to have to decline your offer. They said, well, how about for a quarter? He said, okay. I don't know about you guys, but I would not have the nerve to look down a barrel of a gun like that. So they write him out a check for $500,000. He hops in the jet. He flies back to Atari headquarters. He walks in the front door. The lawyers are big fat lawyers with their huge cigars. Morse, yeah, glad to see you. Come on in. We got some papers for you. He takes that check. He slams it down on the table. He says, see you, boys. I got a plane to catch. Yeah! God! Oh!
And all of a sudden there was Commodore, and there was money.
Yeah.
And then there was a big building and the blueprints. Remember the blueprints?
Yeah,
And they go
yeah.
around like, this is how we're going to do the offices. And like, how do you want to do software? How do you want to do hardware? That was Los Gatos building. And,
We went back to Commodore to negotiate the future of the machine and the closure of the deal. And Dave Morris told me, don't insist on an expansion port. I says, but Dave, we've got to have an expansion port. It's, you know, who's going to buy a computer that you can't expand?
Right.
And I insisted, you know. And Dave said, well, you know, we're liable to not close the deal, and you're liable to lose your job. And
All right.
that's the way it
We're
is.
glad
So
you did.
Commodore gave in and said, okay, expansion port.
There'd be no Amiga today if it weren't for that.
I think so, too.
So the getting of the machine to slide from a game machine into a business machine happened relatively effortlessly, like I was saying, for two reasons. First of all, because the hardware guys were smart all along, and second of all, because the base of the operating system was designed such that it could do that. All right, we had a multitasking, library, device, interrupt-driven, preemptive, priority-based operating system in a game machine. So how did it happen? I mean, where did that come from? I mean, I know where it came from for me. I joined the company because it was a dream that I wanted to chase. Was that same, you know, with everyone in general, or?
Yeah, I think so.
To say that it was just a family atmosphere doesn't really say it, but I think that there was, I was working late at night, working on a CES, and it wasn't, we've got to get this done or the company's going to fail. It was like, of course we've got to get this done. This is it's our collective effort. This was, I don't know how to describe it, but there was camaraderie, family. It doesn't really describe it, but there was people. It was kind of like all the cousins, all the brothers and sisters and cousins were in this office in this room together. We're all working because there weren't people beating us. There weren't stockholders. It was just, we've got to get this thing done, and we've got to do what we have to do to make it happen.
there was the dream of the machine, and there was the dream of the company. And the dream of the company was, when we went to work there, we were offered stock of the company. We owned the company, and we knew that there weren't a lot of big investors. I mean, there was Jay, and there was Dave, and we knew them. They worked there. It wasn't like mystery people investing in this company. It was our company. I mean, we really felt, at heart, it was our company. Jay and Dave made us feel that way.
But you know, I've heard a lot of people say interesting things here. Howard's trying to find a word to describe it. You're talking about the group here and stuff like that. For the first few years after Amiga, you probably know I spoke a lot and told the story of the early days of the Amiga a lot, and invariably by the time I'd get, you know, I'm running out of time, I got to kind of wrap things up here, I'd get to talking about what it really meant from my own perspective, what we were trying to do, what it really meant to us. And I would always end up feeling sappy, you know, like, because I mean, like, you know, how it's unreasonable to talk about a business as, you know, we weren't just friends, we were friends, and we weren't just doing a job or creating a machine, we were chasing a dream. The most important thing I learned of all of this was, you know, when I'm just this kid from the south side of Chicago, you know, and I got involved in this whole thing, but I'm still just this guy. And the truth of the matter is that anyone could do this. I proved that finally to myself, that I could go off and follow a dream and have it come true for me. And you could too.